Welcome to Campfire Curmudgeon. I'm your host, Heidi S., and with me is...
Nicholas Jones.
And we have a special guest today.
Hi.
Say your name.
Rachel.
And who are you?
I'm your sister.
Yay, we got my little sister here today. She's going to help us with our episode, and today's theme is...
Vampires.
Okay.
Woo! Tell us about vampires, Rachel.
So I love vampires, so that's why I picked this subject. Vampires are actually really, really cool. So a lot of the, kind of legends that we know come mostly from, European countries. But, the modern day, vampire that we think of today, kind of pale, lanky, they're, thin. They're, more from Western Europe in the 1800s.
1800?
Yeah.
So what is a vampire? I mean, I'm sure everybody listening knows, but just, what's a brief definition? What do they do?
Brief definition. They're just, undead creatures, and they drink blood. Or they feed off of human life sources, or animal life sources, too.
There you go. Cat fur in my mouth. Thanks, Dante. So, when you were looking at vampires, did you see anything that specifically stood out to you?
I thought
you found kind of interesting that you wanted to talk about?
I did, actually. So back before, the whole modern day image of a vampire that we have kind of came about, vampires weren't really thought to be, pale and tall. They were thought to be kind of, bloated. And
That's pretty gross.
Yeah, I know. And, their faces would be, a reddish or purple tint because of, how much blood they drank.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of really cool because, I don't know, I just feel like it's so different.
Was it because dead and decaying bodies kind of blew up into, gassy corpses?
Yeah, they would bloat from,
when
they were dead and stuff. And then from the blood that they drank. Or, they were often, said to have blood coming out of their mouth or their nose, you could see.
So you're talking about, historically when people thought that somebody who had died was a vampire, so they'd open up the casket and they would see, blood in somebody's mouth or the long fingernails.
Yeah.
And I guess they didn't know at the time that was just a part of the decomposition.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see anything about people being sick and villages or people blaming it on vampires?
I saw a lot about that. It basically caused, mass hysteria when a lot of the vampire stories started coming about. People started becoming more superstitious, and it caused mass hysteria. And if somebody was, sick with specific illnesses, or just in general, if somebody was more of a night person, people would be like, "You're a vampire? Oh my god," and they would be publicly executed for it.
It'd be witch, burn the
Yeah,
witch,
it's like
vampire.
the Salem witch trials almost.
Right. People were stupid back then.
I mean, they still are.
But here's the thing. We're living in a dumber time now because we have answers to those questions, and yet we choose to be well, I still think that the thing I think is true. The flat earth and whatnots. Alright, sorry, go ahead.
So you don't believe in vampires, Nicholas?
No.
No?
No, I don't.
What about you? Rachel, you're looking over there you...
You have a mission.
It depends. To me, I think it's a possibility because I never say never with anything because I think that, scientifically, there's so many new things being discovered every day, so many new species of everything, that, why couldn't there be some sort of vampiric creature out there?
That's my sister.
It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a human who drinks blood specifically or something like that, or someone who's undead, but, there could be a vampiric creature out there.
There are several.
Yeah, or several that just haven't been discovered.
Ticks.
Yeah, bats, ticks. But I mean,
mosquitoes.
Not like that, though, but, something that
Bloodsuckers?
is more...
Closer to
closer
our
to
idea of a vampire.
Right, exactly.
You're a
vampire
a chupacabra, even, is
Ooh, we'll have to do an episode on that one, too.
Ooh.
What I thought was kind of funny was some of the stuff people would do to prevent somebody from becoming a vampire, to prevent a vampire from rising again. In Poland, I guess they would put a stone either on the person's neck or sometimes in their mouth, which I think is kind of funny because I've seen some of these graves that they've opened where it's a small stone just set on the neck of someone. I'm just I'm not sure how that's supposed to prevent them from getting up. I guess it was not like a physical thing, but they also would put farming tools like sickles across their bodies. Did you see anything else? You're nodding over there, right?
I did, like a sickle or a scythe even.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was either they would put it above their grave to appease like the demons or whatever, the evil spirits who would come.
You're making air quotes.
I am. Or like they would put it on the body so that when they bloated it would puncture them and prevent them from becoming a vampire.
Oh, that's interesting.
I was like, okay, alright. And then, what was the other one? I found some really just kind of funny stuff. Like, I feel like, they sometimes buried people upside down. Became really, really popular in, like, Europe. Because they thought that that would prevent someone.
Like, they just dug a deep hole that wasn't, like, it was vertical? Or,
No. Like, rather than, like, burying a body, like, this way, they would just flip it upside down.
So that
their back was up, because it would prevent them from rising. They couldn't, like, rise.
But what you're talking about, like, digging a straight hole down, burying them head first, they actually did that with people that they believed to be witches in certain areas. They would dig a hole straight down and stick them in head first.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
bummer.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Or they would put, like a coin in their mouth.
You like being not wrong? What about vampires from, you were talking a little bit, right, about other countries. I have some interesting vampires that I'm going to completely butcher the name of, so bear with me. This one, how about, you know what, let's make Nicholas butcher the name. Read that. What's that say?
Calacanzaro, Greece.
Okay, so in Greece they have the Calacanzaro, and this one's super creepy. He supposedly spends most of the year in the netherworld, and he only comes out 12 nights between Christmas and the Epiphany. And between those nights is when he does all of his dastardly deeds.
Is the Epiphany like the 12th day of Christmas?
I was gonna say, what's the Epiphany?
I think that's something...
On the 12th day of Christmas, my vampire
12
gave to
nights
me.
Between Christmas and the Epiphany. Well, it sounds like after Christmas?
Is it like New Year's?
Yeah.
It's 12 days after Christmas, I guess. So I guess 12 days after Christmas is an Epiphany?
I was just saying it as a joke, and then I was like, I can't remember enough things to start
Isn't that
like
he doesn't know enough of the song.
12 flapping bat wings.
Well,
yes.
This guy supposedly had a black twisted face, red eyes, and a fang-filled mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, and he would tear apart anything that it encountered. It would use its claws, and then it would just eat them. So it's kind of a little bit different from what we think of as, you know, a vampire drinking blood. I guess it would eat the person whole.
Oh my god.
But that's pretty cool. And,
that's one thing that's missing from, like, the modern-day vampire movie is just, like, a vampire consuming a person, but doing it like a snake dehissing its jaw, and being like...
I would watch that.
No, he tears them apart first.
I would watch the crap out of that.
Bite-sized pieces. What's super scary about this guy is... Generally, he attacks people that were his family members.
Oh my god.
While they were living. So, if you think your family member died and turned into one of these...
I love you, nom nom nom.
You're like, please don't eat me.
Yeah.
I thought that one was pretty interesting. There's another one that's pretty interesting from Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
What's that say?
You just
it's
went
right
up. Penanggalan. Penanggalan.
Yeah, alright, we'll go with that. This is a creature that looks like
It's like that song that we played at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
Pleasin' calls an S and then Suzel. Alright.
This is a song Nick has had this weird obsession.
I wondered what that song was. Like, it came on and I was like,
This is his favorite song that he would, if he could, loop and have it be the soundtrack to his life.
Oh my god.
If they would let him walk around at work with it just like blasting from a speaker, I guarantee you he would.
It's catchy.
It's the song you would play to close out all your calls.
I skipped the song after a few seconds. I'm sorry, Nick.
Don't be.
Well, the Penanggalan How did we say it?
He's
Whatever.
a Penongalon or whatever.
Penongalon.
Yeah, it's a creature that looks like a woman during the day.
Oh my god, is that the dreaded Penongalon? Like, dude, you could just say, like, vampire woman. Like,
Well, I'm sure if you actually speak the language, it's normal, and somebody out there is laughing at us. But
for being, like, what,
for not
Anglo-centric
knowing how
and
to
not, yeah.
just,
Penongalon.
no, I just can't read anything. I mean, I mispronounce all sorts of stuff, so.
Hey, Mr. Wazowski, that's just called a Penongalon.
Anyways, but at night, the Penongalon detaches its head from the rest of its body, and just the head goes flying around searching for victims.
Like a drone.
Well,
Like some type of evil, shitty drone.
Basically, here's the creepy part. Its spinal column and its internal organs, like, come out with the head.
Yeah.
So it's just, like, flying around, like, dripping, like, organs,
I'd
I
be
guess.
like, cool, stab the
There's
lungs.
a horror game. There's literally a horror game, and, like, the monster on it that chases you looks exactly like that.
Probably based
so I
off
wonder
of
if
this.
it's, yeah, that's hilarious.
The organs are said to glow, and when the Penongalon is in this form, it can use its, like, dangling entrails to grasp things and move them, kind of like arms. I don't know how I feel about that one. But that one, it uses its long tongue to go under the house and slither through the floorboards so it can gain access to the people sleeping inside. It'll stick to you, and then it's like a straw, and it drains you that way. So that's
so
how
disgusting. Like their tongue?
Yes. So their tongue is going to slither under
like
your house,
a freaking
through
butterfly?
your floor, stick to you, and slurp out your blood.
Like a butterfly drinking like nectar or something?
Basically.
That's disgusting.
How would you like to encounter
I know
that
I hated
one?
butterflies for a reason. That's why I hate butterflies.
What do you think, Nick? Is that one
Basically
creepier
vampires.
than our idea of a vampire?
That sounds like a modern day nightmare that, sometimes, they have, I'm trying to find the name of it, but it's like explosive decompression in, like, subaquatic environments where, like, basically they have to have pressurized air, and there's a change in pressure. There are people who've been, like, sucked through
Oh my God.
an entire, like, basically a plumbing pipe that's like an inch wide because instant decompression, like it's
I
happened.
don't like that.
Like,
Well, it's like when you
oil
when you
rigs and
dive
people in the Navy,
yeah.
just like,
Oh my God.
somebody flipped a valve or a pressure seal
This
failed.
is why I don't trust anyone.
Yeah, don't. So,
Well, what's extra gross about this creature
Oh God.
is at the end of the night it has to pickle its entrails
Mhm.
in vinegar so they shrink enough to fit back into its body so it can walk around looking like a woman in the morning again. How weird is that?
I mean,
So it's got all of its body parts or whatever is attached that comes out just dangling there, and then it has to soak them in vinegar so it fits back. I just think that is so elaborate.
Wait, why wouldn't it fit back? Do their, like, organs grow?
I guess so. They swallow.
Probably with,
I
like, the
don't know.
drinkage of blood or something? Do they
Probably.
just, like...
They get fat from drinking all the blood,
That's
and then
so
they can't fit
gross.
back into the body.
That's disgusting. I mean, honestly, I would rather have, like, our vampire than that.
I
Because
just
that's
think
just,
that's-
like, scary.
That's so funny that it just, after being all super creepy and sucking your blood out, and then it flies home, then it just sits there, like, soaking, like, waiting,
Like a
soaking
bath?
in vinegar. Yeah, taking a bath. I thought those ones were some pretty interesting vampires
So
there.
weird.
What about psychic vampires?
yeah, if you're gonna,
Psychic
yeah,
vampires?
just like, do you think the phenomenon exists?
Do you know what a psychic
I
vampire
don't.
is?
I didn't see anything about that.
Okay, well, let's see. According to...
This is not actually blood sucking, but like
So...
emotional vampires.
Yeah, supposedly these kinds of vampires will suck out your energy.
Okay.
Or like, so if you suddenly feel yourself being really tired.
I know I'm the curmudgeon, but 100%
Worn
this
out.
exists. There are some people that.
Oh,
I feel like
hold up,
that does.
Hold up, our curmudgeon just said something exists. Wait, can you repeat that? I'm not...
I said I'm the curmudgeon, but this 100% exists.
Alright, so you believe in psychic vampires. Well,
Ooh.
what do you feel? What are your feelings?
I feel like there are people that they just being in their presence is a drain on you.
Okay,
You know,
why?
Right.
Just like they can bring the mood of a room down by just walking into it.
You're right.
Well, here are
They
some
can-
symptoms of a psychic
Okay.
vampire attack. You can have a leaky or diminishing aura.
Okay.
You can have dizziness, loss of energy.
Oh, my aura's leaking. Where are the napkins?
You have to use like
do
aura
you have any?
napkins.
Do you have any psychic paper towels? Because my aura's leaking.
What that? It's not leaking.
What does a leaking aura
So,
look like? Can
What
you
it means
imagine?
is somebody who can
Like if
see
you
an
could
aura,
see
they
an
would
aura?
see it as either being smaller, so it's not as vibrant.
Can you see people's auras?
Some people can say they can see auras,
Huh.
or there's photography. We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
Aura photography, but
That's cool.
like a leaky one would be like, so basically an aura looks like light around the
Yeah.
person, and it's usually in
In an
different
oval
color.
shape, like in all the Jesus paintings.
Kind of.
Yeah.
A diminished aura, so it would be like your light would be dimmer. A
Huh.
leaky one would be like it has like
Jesus
trails,
had an orange aura, Mary had a
trails
blue one.
coming
Like
off
being
of
like
it.
sucked
Almost
off of
as
it?
if-
That's
yes,
so...
like you can see it like going somewhere. Don't you giggle. Muscle tension, mental confusion, headaches, chronic fatigue, sleep disturbances, irritability,
that's
depressed mood, physical illness. Alright, which one of you is a psychic vampire?
I would say,
Wow.
the sleep
Nick.
disturbance, irritability, depressed mood, physical illness is basically like you take a room full of people and it's like the psychic vampire walks past and all of a sudden everybody's hangry.
See, that's so funny. Like, I didn't even know that there was a name for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year, fun story, in South Pacific, which we did, which was our
One
spring
of my least
play.
favorite musicals.
I really
Really?
hated
Yes.
I hate South Pacific. But we did it as a spring play, and I was on the run crew for it, and so was this other person. And every time everyone was around that person, they were like, I feel so sad. It, like, the vibe over here is, like, so weird. I don't like it. I don't like being over here. There were a couple times, like, because you know how there's, like, stage right and stage left? I was on run crew for stage right, and everyone from stage left would come over and be like, why is it so weird over here? It's, like, heavy, it's gross, it's sad, like, I feel sick. And then they would go back over to their side and be fine. And so a couple of my friends came over and they were like, come over to stage left for a minute. And I would go over there. And, like, there were a couple times passing through the back where I just started gagging and I felt like I was going to throw up. And it was all the time around this one person.
Call them out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, right. And I saw them.
Because
I would totally edit that.
Belly High was about to start playing.
Oh, God. I hated that song. Oh, it's so annoying.
No, I think there's honestly psychological phenomenon. I think, it's like ants and insects, they have antenna,
Yeah.
and then cats have their whiskers, and that's to make sure they don't bump into shit in the dark.
True.
But human beings, we don't have physical antenna, we have highly attuned emotional senses.
Yeah.
And so it's like we can pick up on something even if it's nonverbal.
Yeah.
And it's very freaky that a lot of the time it gets attributed to like ESP or a supernatural ability when it's just like, no, you're just reading that person right. Like, yeah.
Well, I've seen some ways that you can protect yourself from these kind of people. I thought this one was pretty funny.
Stabbing.
It's,
Oh my God.
well,
Don't do that.
we don't suggest you do that.
No.
I
Just
mean, it might...
for legal purposes,
Yeah.
we're not advocating that you stab or harm anybody in
Or
any way.
violence,
And if
yeah.
you do, don't come back to us.
Yeah.
You
not a-
didn't listen to
I'm
this
not a-
podcast
I'm not
ever.
I'm not a legal expert, and I don't think it'd be a good defense. The
I'm not sure you're
podcast
allowed
defense.
to say that.
Oh my
You
God.
can't tell people to do that in English. Anyways,
You said defense.
yes.
Don't
Awareness.
stab people.
Well, I was gonna say awareness. So this is funny because it's know who they are and avoid them. That's.
I mean,
You're like, oh, all right.
Yeah, you
I do
can't.
that.
You can't like will somebody into not being an emotional.
I do
Um,
that with said person. Just like,
Another one is you can visualize a bubble of white light surrounding your auric field.
Huh.
You can use a crystal that you have programmed for protection.
programmed?
Yes, we'll talk about programming crystals on another
Don't,
episode.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
don't
say.
don't forget to close parentheses when you're programming crystals.
Truth.
That's the biggest error.
The other one, this is one that's really advocated for by this guy named Joe Slate, PhD. he
Is that like Newton Crosby, PH Dork?
Basically. No, but he has this whole big article about this, but he says you should use the finger interlock gesture. So that's basically you're like making the OK symbol, but you're using your middle and your thumb to make it, and you're locking them together like rings.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm just not okay with the OK symbol really anymore because it seems to be adopted by Trump supporters.
Oh, no.
Exclusively.
You ruined that for me. I do that all the time.
I know.
You just ruined that.
Have you noticed?
Go back to
I'm not the one who ruined it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can just be an otaku and just peace sign everything.
She sure is.
Okay.
I am not. It's fine. Actually.
But so you just take your fingers, lock them together, okay? And while you do that, you're gonna like say, I am now energized and fully protected. And you don't have to say this out loud, because I feel like if you did, that kind of might defeat the purpose.
And it also might like scare people around you. Just
this
like,
is some like L. Ron Hubbard shit.
Fully protected.
No,
I am now clear.
This is
like
some, what did I say his name was? Slate shit.
I feel like that's like some Dragon Ball Z something where they're like,
Yeah.
I am now fully powered.
Joe's like, hey, unless you've tried it, don't knock it. So I want you to go find this guy.
I can
all
knock
right?
it.
It's a girl.
Oh, find this girl. Oh, we're giving secrets away. Someone's gonna figure it out. Well, you're gonna find her. Stand next to her. Stare right at her face.
So
Lock your
scary.
fingers together. Okay, I'm just kidding. But no, next time you feel it, try it. Lock your fingers together. Think in your head, I'm now energized and protected. That's all you gotta do. And that will help keep you immune from someone sucking out your energy. This particular doctor that I was talking about has actually done extensive research on psychic vampires. He has said that it's something he can scientifically prove, I guess, exists.
What's this guy's name?
His name? Of course. The curmudgeon's like, I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna disprove that.
Why wouldn't I?
Here's his name. Joe H. Slate, PhD. He talks about how even the biblical version of creation where God is breathing breath energy into a person or into a rib to create a person, he's saying that this is something that beings have the ability to do. Like, people have some sort of energy that can be breathed in or pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying that there is proof of this in places such as the Bible, and if you're using that for your scientific proof, even I was gonna say how to disbelieve you a little bit.
Quote unquote scientific is your proof if it's from the Bible.
He also states about the woman who touched Christ's garment and he felt it, and he's saying that that's because she was a psychic vampire and she was pulling his energy out. That's what he's going with there.
I think he also, I think I just read he thinks Rasputin was a vampire.
A lot of people actually feel that Rasputin was a vampire.
I've heard
the advisor
heard
to Tsar Nicholas.
Yes. This is actually something that many people do have a theory on. But this individual, this doctor...
We'll just have to wait for the DiCaprio movie to come out. That's just all I'm saying.
We'll have to see. But this doctor says that using aura photography and visual observations of the aura, that's how they were able to see these interactions with that energy actually being pulled. So that was kind of what we were talking about, where like you would see the energy being kind of drained away from somebody, leaking away into another individual. Huh. I can't believe our curmudgeon is on board with this one.
I think that's
I know.
I'm
kind of shocked.
Put this like on file. Put this specific podcast episode. Be like, Nick said he believed in something.
I think there's a natural explanation and not the hokey bullshit aspect of it.
What's your natural explanation, curmudgeon?
I think it's a product of the fact that we're social animals and we have highly attuned sense of social norms. So anybody even violating that non-verbally or just like, God damn it, Becky, she's so negative.
Look at her butt. No, is that not where you're going with that?
Is it Becky in that song?
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah,
Jinx, me a Coke.
Becky could be a vampire with her big ass.
So is that where she stores the energy?
Oh my God.
Becky, look at her butt. It's full of vampire energy. That's how that should go. Well, alright. Do you have anything else to throw in on vampires, Nicholas?
I really hated the pop culture vampire craze that happened about
I loved
Twilight.
it. I
about
loved it.
it started about I think in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say so.
And it kind of ended with the end of the Twilight books. But even through all that, I hated a lot of it. But
I mean, honestly, I think
Yeah.
the Twilight books kind of brought like a resurgence back
It
for a
did,
while.
definitely.
Like, it had started to sort of die out, and then all
Definitely.
of a sudden it was like we had a whole bunch of vampire stuff, and then
Oh yeah.
the more people were like, Twilight's so dumb, I think that helped kind of like kill off that resurgence.
Right, and then
Yeah.
then the wave moved on to zombies.
zombies were
But
cool.
at the same
Oh,
time,
I
one of the
still
best
love
movies of
zombies.
the last 10 years is probably Taika Waititi's What We Do in the Shadows.
That
which-
is so funny.
It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Rachel, you would love it.
It's like this is Spinal Tap for vampires. It's very
so
funny.
therefore Mom would love it. If she hasn't seen it yet, that's
Oh.
your homework. Go
Okay,
home and
I'll
watch
find
that.
it. I'll find
Is
it.
that on Netflix?
What
I was
we-
gonna say, is it on?
It might be, but it's What We Do in the Shadows, and it's from Taika Waititi, the director of Hunt for the Wilder People and the upcoming Thor movie.
Oh, okay. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it looks like it actually might be a decent Thor movie.
It might be.
Looks like it might be fun and not a drag.
I was gonna say maybe that's a opinion that's gonna get some people talking, but I'm just like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I mean,
you don't care. It's just
I don't disagree.
Yeah. So you got a lot of notes there.
I do.
What are we gonna? What do you got?
I mean, I kind of want to talk about like ways that they would identify if someone
Oh,
that
definitely.
they thought was a vampire. Some of these
I self-identify as a vampire. I have these characteristics,
please. I pulled some of that crap in in kindergarten through like the second grade. I had like 20 people convinced I was a vampire because
you're pale as fuck.
yeah, because I'm super pale and my teeth are like strangely sharp. Like dentists are always like, "Can I like file your teeth down? They're really
Don't
sharp."
you
I'm like,
touch.
"No."
No.
I know, I don't let them, but like my
Yeah.
So funny
canines are
story.
really sharp.
I once posted a picture with you in it, Rachel. I
Oh,
had taken a picture of us at a concert, and somebody that I work with came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I saw you went to this concert. Was that your sister in the picture?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, I don't know how to ask this. And at first I was like, all right, she is far too young. He's like, no. I was just gonna ask. I mean, she's so pale. Is there something wrong with her? And I just burst into laughter. I said, no, she just doesn't go in the sun.
That's true. I stay inside all the time. But I told people I was a vampire, and they believed me, and I was...
You're such a brat.
I am. I was happy about that. Some kids were afraid of me, but that's okay.
So what would happen to you back in the day? What would they have done to test to see if you're a vampire?
Well, way back in the day, one of my favorite methods, it made me laugh so hard just because it's so very specific. They would lead a virgin boy on a virgin horse to a graveyard.
Wait, how do they know the horse is a virgin?
Good question.
Same question.
I don't know.
They're both like, hold up.
Like, watch
Hold
the
up.
horse, I guess? I don't know.
I'm not
I'm no
it was-
equestrian.
Yeah, it had to be
But,
a
I don't think we
virgin
wanna know
boy
the answer.
on a
Let's not
virgin
ask.
horse, and they would lead it to a graveyard. And if the horse hesitated at the grave of the person who was suspected to be the vampire, the person was definitely a vampire. Like, if the horse stopped or just kind of hesitated for a minute,
What about the
that
boy?
person was
He just
definitely
sits
That
there.
sounds-
yeah, he just rides the horse. That's all.
So that's,
He doesn't do anything.
That sounds a lot like the Church of Latter-day Saints baptizing
Yeah.
non-Mormons after they're dead. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all of a sudden, Anne
lead a
Frank's a
horse?
Mormon now.
Oh my
Like,
God.
but no, I mean, it's just like, oh, that person's dead. But they were also a vampire.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're just gonna do that now.
So now I'm wondering, are you saying Mormons use virgin horses to baptize?
No, I'm saying it's really easy to kind
You're
of
gonna
class.
piss people
You're
off.
Yeah.
going to lose us listeners. here,
People are
pal.
gonna be so mad.
No,
But no,
That's fine.
I'm saying the church did this. I'm not saying like Mormons I know did this.
It got even more specific though. I didn't write it down. I can't remember what it was, but like in certain countries, the horse should be black, and in other countries, it should be a white horse. Just
Interesting.
very specific. I was like, Okay, that's
I don't
fine,
know.
I guess.
Somebody is asking these horses some very specific questions.
Yeah, right? And then a little less
And
specific.
then you get a few more pieces and you can play chess.
Exactly.
Maybe the reason the horse is hesitating is he's like, alright, this is getting weird. You already asked me if I was a virgin. You're making this boy... Now, where are you taking me? I need to know what's going on. Maybe
Yeah,
that's really
right?
why the horse is hesitating.
And not just that, like, horses get so scared so easily. Like, a horse is gonna hesitate at the smallest things. So...
Well, I mean, I feel like if you're walking a horse with somebody sitting on it, doesn't matter who the person is, and the person is kind of, like, freaked out, the
Yeah.
horse is going to sense that. If you're, like, telling this kid, we're going to take you to where there might be a vampire, he's probably like, no, I really don't want to do this, and the horse is sensing that, and he's like, I don't know what we're going to, but I'm not down for that.
Right?
I'm not even
Yeah.
a man yet. Yeah.
Maybe it was like a young horse or something. Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't really want to know.
Yeah,
I'm
was
like,
it,
let's just not ask them how they figured
was
it out.
Was it just like a young kid with a sore throat, and then it's just like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm just a little horse.
No, it didn't
Dear
even work.
God, that was awful.
Moving on.
Poor Nick. Another way though.
No, I knew
that
what I
they
was
might-
doing.
Jeez. Another way that they might tell, which I thought was kind of dumb too, because animals exist. Holes in the earth above a grave was
Oh,
a
I
definite
see.
sign of vampirism because they could, they came out of the earth,
Like Santa Claus
Oh yes.
through the chimney, like.
Yeah.
Holes in the earth. Okay.
Yeah, so, but I was like, there's animals that dig, there's bugs, there's
Especially if they smell something.
grave
dead.
robbers.
Grave robbers?
Yeah.
Also, if they dug up a corpse and it appeared healthier or like bloated,
Alright.
they'd be like, oh, it's a vampire. Or,
She's lost so much weight.
yeah.
Oh, she looks so much better. Must be a vampire.
Yep. Or like if their fingernails were longer or if their left eye was open.
Oh, wow.
Supposedly,
that's very
like,
specific.
it's super specific. Like, it said they could be found sleeping in their coffins with their left eye open. I couldn't find why it was their left eye. I tried to, like...
Probably that's
look
like the evil.
that.
The left is always supposed to be like,
Could
know,
be.
people
Certain
would-
cultures.
well,
yeah.
that's why a lot of
Now I'm
people
thinking
have
1/3 of
stories.
TLC is a vampire.
How many people have stories of like trying to write because they're left-handed and going to like strict Catholic schools where
That's
nuns
true.
like beat them and made them write with
Not
their right
just
Oh my
hand?
Catholic
God.
schools, but yeah.
A lot
They're
of
like, you're gonna
religions
relearn.
like that, yeah.
Like, you're gonna,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the left side's always kind of been stigmatized. So
Right.
Yeah.
that's not too surprising, but that's pretty funny. What I think is so interesting too is why are you digging people up?
Yeah.
So from what I know and what I've
And now we
read,
send thee to the eternal rest. Oh, but we'll check back in 90 days. Like,
Just to make sure
Well, a
you're
lot of it-
definitely dead.
a lot of it stemmed from people getting sick.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, now we know if one person dies from an illness, it's probably spread, it's communicable in some way or other.
Mhm.
So there's a high probability that there's going to be another person that gets sick. But that's not the thought process that was happening. They were thinking, oh, this sickness is going around, must be vampires.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they would assume that the last person to be sick was a victim of a vampire. And therefore, now
Mhm.
that they're dead, they are also a vampire, which is why they would be, opening up all of these graves. But what I wonder is, did they ever open up a grave and not think it was a vampire? I never came across any stories or anything
Just
like that.
like, just to open it?
Yeah, well, I never came across anything where they were like, oh, we think there's a vampire. This person just died, let's dig him up. Oh, no, they look pretty dead. Like, you
Yeah,
never
I
hear
feel like
about
just
that.
anyone that
Yeah,
they dug up,
I mean,
they were
anybody-
like, vampire.
I feel like anybody you've just put in the ground for a few days
Yeah.
isn't gonna look super great.
No.
So, it's just, I just wonder if they did any, like, let's dig a bunch of people up and let's see, like,
Yeah.
let's exchange stories here.
Is there any specific commonalities between all these dead bodies?
I mean, I guess it was just the panic and the we'll do whatever it takes to get this sickness to stop, which you
Yeah.
can understand, but some of the things that I have heard of and read about that they would do are just so gross. You have some, like, if you've ever seen Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is hilarious, so funny. They go to stake the vampire and the buckets of blood just come, like, pouring out. I always think of that. But that's the more common one that you hear.
Yeah.
They would dig up a body, they would stake it,
through the
or they
heart.
would, like, if they hadn't done it before the person was buried, they would sew the jaw shut,
Mhm.
or, you know, like we talked about the sickle or the stone. But some of the other things included either burning the heart, burning the brains, burning both. Sometimes they would
God.
then have people eat the ashes,
That's
or they would
absolutely
cook-
repulsive.
yeah,
Oh.
cook the heart and make people, like, either drink it or eat it. They would, like, puree it. Rachel's gonna throw up
That
on
was
the
a
microphone.
legitimate gag. That's
If you have to vomit, don't
revolting.
do it into the mic.
That's revolting. Why would you just be like, oh yeah, eat this heart, drink the blood from it.
To
This
me,
person was a
yeah.
vampire.
I think that that's one of the strangest thought processes, like, even in, like...
Who came up with that, though?
Like, thinking of, you know, like, witchcraft or magic or anything like that. It's just, to me, if you're taking something that you feel is in some way tainted, or, you know, they are a vampire, they somehow have been infected, why would you want to consume that? I mean, even if you've cooked it,
Yeah.
to me, that does not seem like it makes any sort of sense, even, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this doesn't make sense to us now, but even trying to put myself in that mindset of, like, they have the vampirism, let's eat them. Like, to me, that's just,
Exactly.
like,
Isn't that technically
that
being a
seems
vampire?
yeah, that seems
'Cause
like you would
Cannibal
then
vampire?
catch it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you're consuming, or if you drank the blood from the heart, is that what you said?
Sometimes, yeah, they would drink the blood from it, or they would
Isn't that
puree
literally
it,
what
basically.
they thought a vampire was? They were like,
Basically.
let's become the vampires to prevent this vampire.
Well, I
It's like
guess
the
it's like
same
you
thought
can't
process
eat it,
behind,
yeah.
yeah, it's like the thought process behind throwing the person who they thought was a witch in the river, and like if they floated, they were a witch or something.
But
Like,
that's
Right,
different
but if they
because
drowned,
it's like,
they were human.
yeah,
That's kind of a,
like,
you can
What?
get that
Seems
thought
like a one-way
process, though.
test.
no,
Like, even though it's
I don't
stupid,
understand that thought process
Well,
at
but
all.
it's not going to infect somebody else. Like, to me, it's just like, yes, let's eat them.
But like,
Let's
who comes up with these
consume
things?
them.
That's what I want to know. Like, who was just like, ah, yes, you must remove
most
the heart.
Cool people.
That shit person
Cool
in the
people.
village.
The most level-headed, cool, chill
Oh,
people
yes.
of the village. They came up with
Honestly, it was probably the person that either had the most money or never got sick. Because people are like, well, he's doing something right.
Yeah.
Let's just go with what he says.
Yeah.
So,
the town drunk or something like.
or, I mean, it
Yeah.
could have, I've heard of some of these ideas coming from, like, the town doctor, but I guess it's,
I
some of it was
think we should
desperation.
put Vlad on a spike.
Vlad
Hear me out.
wants to put you on a spike. I think that's how
Exactly.
Vlad the
He had
Impaler.
the heads on the spikes.
Who was another he was supposedly a vampire, or a basis of the
Yeah.
idea of vampires.
hmm
Cool.
Cool?
Yeah.
Got anything for us, Nick?
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I think.
You didn't seem, to be so curmudgeon-y this episode.
You didn't. I'm surprised.
He's outnumbered.
Yeah, well, there's that,
That's
but
true.
also it's just like it's folklore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no one's claiming there's an active vampire walking around today.
That's true. Which I'm kind of.
You never know.
I
Right.
mean.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
I'd be like, all right, well, let's go get some kind of like fusion-powered flashlight so we can carry the power of sunlight with us, and let's go cave
It would
exploring.
be much
yeah.
harder to be a vampire.
Yeah.
nowadays.
That's one of the things, like, that's
Yeah.
more of a modern idea, the whole, like, they
Can't go out
can't be in the
sun,
sunlight
yeah.
thing, because, like, back in, like, the olden days when there was lore, like, it wasn't really specified that they were,
It wasn't that they can't
like,
be out in
harmed
the
by
sun.
sunlight,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was that if they're going to
They
get
were
you,
like-
they want to get you sleeping.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to know that they're still alive.
So it was like the
Exactly,
incubus succubus thing,
yeah, exactly,
Sort of.
so, like,
it was more of just like
which are now night terrors.
Yeah.
Oh, you just have night terrors, really? Okay.
yeah, even though they were more active at night, they were like, oh yeah, no, it's not to
It's-
say
yeah.
that they're harmed by sunlight, but just that, it's just easier to
Yeah.
kill people
who are already asleep.
while they're not awake.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna have to put some pictures of this finger locking that we were talking about
Please do.
on our Instagram and our Facebook page, so you guys can see what we're talking about. So you can have some idea of how to protect yourself from a psychic vampire. If you've heard of other techniques to protect yourself from a psychic vampire, because I think everybody knows the general things that are supposed to protect you from a regular vampire. Crosses, holy water, garlic,
Garlic,
sunlight,
pumpkin.
whatever.
Pumpkin?
Pumpkins. Yep.
I did not know
So we
that.
carve pumpkins. It keeps away the evil.
Isn't that like an Irish tradition or something?
Yeah, they carved like turnips
Might
to
be.
keep
And
away.
we just talked about how Irish I was last week.
I know you should. They
Like-
initially carved turnips to keep away
Turnips?
any evil spirits,
That's
which
hilarious.
could include vampires.
I'm legit like
but we did
25%
pumpkins
Irish.
here.
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
25%.
You didn't know this? Come on, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have any other things that you've heard of that protect you from psychic vampires, definitely tell us. If you know or if you've had any experience with some that have worked, tell us about that. We want to hear about it. Give us some feedback.
How are they going to do that?
They can do that either on our Facebook page. That's at Campfire Curmudgeon. They can find us on Instagram under Campfire Curmudgeon. They can email us at...
CampfireCurmudgeon@gmail.com.
And they can twatter us at...
I don't check the Twitter for
Wow.
that.
Well, you can send a tweet and we'll make Nick check. And
Isn't
that's
the Twitter like Campfire?
It's
Curmudgeon?
No,
CF
that's
Curmudge.
CF Curmudge
Um,
at Twitter or however that works. I
and you
don't have
can
a
and you can
Twitter.
Twitter me, and I'll actually get it at Nicholas Edward J.
And you can find me on Instagram at No Heidi Only Zool. You can also find my blog linked there as well. Rachel, you want to plug anything? You got anything to plug? You have a public Instagram. What's
I
that?
do. I have an Instagram. It's _ultratrash_.
You can find her there, especially if you like anime or cosplay. You can find a lot of that stuff there.
Oh yeah.
And in a bit of cross promotion, Heidi recently guested on the other podcast that I co-host.
I did.
It is a John Carpenter filmography podcast. Heidi guested with us, and we talked about the 1996 film Escape from L.A. with Kurt
It was
Russell.
a lot of fun. Even if you're not a huge John Carpenter fan, it's a riot. We had a blast.
Which you should reconsider your life if you're not a huge John Carpenter fan.
I mean, you don't have to be a hardcore fan. Take a listen.
Oh, yeah.
It's good fun.
You can find that at thejohncarpencast.com. And then, yeah, you can find that you can just find it on iTunes or wherever there podcast stuff. Just
stuff.
search for John Carpencast, and then
You
you'll
can find
us
John
there.
Carpencast pretty much anywhere you can find Campfire Curmudgeon.
Yep.
If you're listening to us, yay, you found us. But we're also available, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, right on your Facebook. We're everywhere.
All right.
All right, keep the campfire burning. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Rasputin, lover of the